Welcome to the Third House podcast. I'm Erica, your host, and together we'll unravel the astrological and psychological tapestry that shapes our lives. Join me on this exploration towards our deepest potential and authentic selves. I can't wait to connect on our journey of self-discovery, so let's dive in. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? I'm sure a lot of you listening are in this eclipse season, and maybe excellent things are unfolding, maybe challenging things are unfolding, maybe your head's spinning and you're completely confused. Either way, we're going to go into the new moon solar eclipse in Aries at 8 degrees. Now, this will go exact by degree on March 29th. However, it's eclipse season. So we can feel these eclipses, up to 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. There's a lot of unpredictability with this. However, with this eclipse, we are getting a new moon. So this is a new chapter, planting new seeds, perhaps new opportunity in the area of our chart ruled by Aries in particular. However, I'm going to go into more details about other areas of your chart and life that you also maybe want to keep an eye on or consider in terms of potential details that may unfold with this. Now, again, this is happening at 8 degrees. So if you have anything around maybe within, I would say, a 2-degree orb, so anywhere from 6 to 10 degrees in your chart, you also want to take those planets into consideration. Now, similar to the full moon lunar eclipse podcast episode, if you haven't listened to that, please check that out, because these eclipses come in pairs. So, they're both part of the story. But similar to that podcast episode, I want to talk about the Saros cycles. And like I mentioned in that previous podcast episode, a lot of times it's about an 18-year cycle with the nodes and the eclipses. However, there is a much larger cycle playing out. And eclipses are part of what I like to call like a family. So I like to call it the Mama OG eclipse. So this eclipse, this new moon solar eclipse, is part of Saros 149. And if you think of, I like some other astrologers' analogies of how the OG eclipse, which in this Saros 149 that this eclipse is part of, was basically birthed or initiated, I believe, in August of 1664. So these eclipses sort of initiate, like this one in August of 1664, I believe at the South Pole or North Pole. I forget the details on that. And each one within that family, sort of like if you look at it on the globe, it sort of creates these lines or these rings around. So it almost looks like if you looked at it on the globe, it legit looks like a snake crawling up and around the earth. It's really, really interesting, and there's a lot of symbolism with eclipses, but it's also sort of indicative of like a rings of a tree. So this particular eclipse, again, is part of 149. If you're interested in looking at the full series, just a straight up list and each of the eclipse charts, the link is in the description below, in addition to other offerings that I have, like my website, if you want to, contact me there, appointments, etc. But if you're interested in seeing that list of, what this eclipse is part of, what you can do to get more details. And this is more for intermediate, advanced students. So if you're new to astrology and this is overwhelming, I don't want to overwhelm you. So just skip to your rising sign. But if you're intermediate to advanced and you're sort of acclimated in your chart, what you can do is click on the link to Saros 149. And you can go to, again, that Mama OG eclipse, August 1664, and you can pull up that birth chart and look at the planetary placements, the degrees. Are any of those planets in that August of 1664 Mama OG birth chart conjunct any of your natal? So you can sort of do some synastry there to see what are the common themes throughout this. And depending on how old you are, you can go back to, I think the last one in this series was March 19th, 2007, and the one before that was March 7th, 1989. So again, depending on how old you are, you can keep going back in that list and overlapping and sort of seeing the common denominator. If there's any sort of overlap between that eclipse birth chart versus your natal chart, that might give you some more detail. Kind of poke around, play around with it. I'm going to do my best to put things into perspective, zoom in with some detail, but also zoom out, because there's other things going on around this particular eclipse that is weird. One being Mercury will be at retrograde, 0 degrees in Aries, which is the Aries point, which is a critical degree. Then we have this eclipse happening on March 29th, and the following day, Neptune ingresses into Aries, where this eclipse is taking place. So, and, it takes a while for Neptune to do a full cycle around the chart. So yeah, very, very interesting when you zoom out and you see the full picture. So I want to go into a little bit of those details, as well as the fact that the ruling planet of this eclipse, Mars, is now direct in Cancer, but has also been out of bounds. Now, when a planet is out of bounds, it's when a planet goes beyond the boundary limit of the ecliptic plane or maximum declination. So when you're looking at a birth chart, I have to get this right because I get it backwards. But when you're looking at a birth chart, you're looking at, I always get longitude and latitude mixed up. I believe you're looking at longitude. When you're looking at planets and the ecliptic, sort of like a 3D picture, you're looking at latitude, like how far north, how far south that planet is. And so when it goes beyond the ecliptic, it is out of bounds, and it can take on stronger characteristics. So again, the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, in Cancer, has been out of bounds, will continue to be out of bounds when this eclipse takes place. So I think this Mars is more active than usual. So with Mars being direct, out of bounds, and ruling this eclipse, I think it could help us tap into those really deep or visceral emotions that fuel our deepest motivations, desires, and plan of action around this time. But again, that could always lead to overdoing it or even reckless energy. But again, zoom out. Mars was retrograde. Well, Mars was in shadow and then retrograde for a long time, pretty much through like entered shadow in October and then didn't go direct until the last week of February. And technically it's direct, but it's still in shadow. So we've had some of us, a long, arduous journey with Mars in Cancer. And this eclipse ruling Mars, or Mars ruling this eclipse, again, direct, out of bounds. So almost like this, sometimes Mars out of bounds can have like a strengthening, like more prominent energy to that Mars. So I believe like I think Lady Gaga has Mars at a critical degree and it's out of bounds. And you can see that in her performance. You can see that in her work. You can see the way she sings, that like there's this deep visceral energy, almost like raw primal driving force behind the action or the motivation or the plan of action. So I'm hoping, with this being a new moon eclipse, we can really step into the new chapter, the planting of new seeds, and maybe for some of us, even seeing those new opportunities where, although Mars is in Cancer, so we're still sort of kind of getting things going here, but we've had a long time to work out what are the core motivations, desires, what is the plan of action, what is the driving force behind what we really desire and want in our lives. So I'm hoping that this eclipse is an opportunity for us to initiate that chapter once and for all. Again, it might take some time. I think when Mars gets into Leo, things will definitely shift into a new energy, but I think the end of March could be a very opportunistic time for some of us to kind of dig deep and say, okay, it's time to initiate, it's time to make that thing happen, it's time to move and direct forward energy towards what we really want in life, what we really desire. What is that plan of action that for some of us, especially if you have Mars direct in your natal chart, roughly from October through March, pretty much of this year, it's been maybe a slowdown. Maybe it's been a different perspective. Maybe it's felt a bit wonky or even, challenging for some of you. So I think this could be a very interesting new moon eclipse when you start zooming out and looking at the full picture. Now, when we also look at the midpoints, so midpoints is sort of like, it's kind of in the word, you have a particular luminary or planet in between or centered between two other planets or luminaries. And it can sort of, I like to think of it as it infuses the energy of the two planets. And midpoints can really tell you a lot about the feeling or the energy or the situation. Now, when you look at the midpoints, with a new moon, we have the sun and the moon in conjunction at 8 degrees Aries. The sun and the moon will be, I believe, at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. This is powerful. You have the planet of expansion and the planet of power. So this is another indicator to me that this eclipse, the end of March, beginning of April, we could really be stepping into those deep, visceral, emotional fuel for the expansion, the abundance that we want to move into in 2025. So with the sun and the moon at the midpoint of Jupiter in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, You also want to consider maybe what rules Gemini in your chart, what rules Aquarius, how those areas of your chart are playing into the expansion and the power that you want to maybe integrate into your lives in 2025. Again, I'll go through each rising sign. So if you're new to astrology and you're like, what are you talking about? I'm so confused. My head is spinning. Don't worry, I've got you. But with the sun and the moon at these midpoints, I think there is this sort of, and again, this is my personal opinion, I think that there is an element of strong physical and mental power for creation, as well as social aspirations, influencing and expanding by feeling our way through it. We're talking about the sun, right? How we shine, our vitality, our life force versus the moon, how we nurture, how we feel, how we emote. So there's a lot, to me, this has a lot of potential energy behind it. And again, the day after this eclipse goes exact by degree, we have Neptune ingressing into the area that this eclipse takes place. So Neptune will ingress into Aries the following day. So for me, it's sort of like, what chapter or opportunity are we wanting to step into where maybe we have more physical and mental power, or we are using our life force and emotional fuel to sort of expand it out into the world, depending on where it is in the chart. While Neptune moves into the picture and dissolves. That's interesting to me because that tells me there is some sort of whatever we're creating or whatever plan of action that many of us have just been in a standstill for many months. Where are we sort of stepping forward in that plan of action? Where are we getting really viscerally clear on our motivations and our desires? That might require the dissolution of what no longer works, what's no longer serving. So I think there could be a collective or even individual dissolution of fears, or the dissolving of any fear of new beginnings, and allowing ourselves to lead and assert. I will do a whole separate podcast episode. I'm planning on doing a podcast episode just on Neptune and Aries, its conjunction with Saturn, its interaction with other major planets throughout the years, to kind of give you the full scope of what it may mean for you in your chart. But I think this is just the beginning, and it's around a new beginning, a new chapter, eclipse kind of energy in this area. So very, very fascinating. It seems like this could be a really, not only an opportunistic time to sort of like viscerally dig deep and use the emotional fuel to say, like, this is what I deserve. This is where I want to lead. This is the life that I want to create. This is my plan of action. These are my desires and motivations in life. I think for some of us, it might be in a very unapologetic way where we will also get the opportunity to dissolve the fears, dissolve the insecurities, dissolve the low self-esteem, dissolve the, you know, whatever it may be that prevents you from moving towards the life that you really want. Hello, Aries risings. This new moon solar eclipse is literally happening in your first house of self, the physical body. So this is really amplifying themes around you personally. And I think a lot of times what's not discussed about the first house is, yes, it is a physical body, your appearance, how you show up in the world, how other people view you, but the first house can often involve your own independent action. So again, going back to the intro, the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, out of bounds. Really, this almost like there's an element of action and activity. And for some, I think this like primal life force, kind of like emotional fuel. So I think a lot of Aries risings, I think this is going to be about your own courage, stepping into your own independent action. Now, this is angular in your chart. So it does have the potential to actively engage with changes to career, business, public recognition, as well as home, family, property, and real estate, especially with Mars now direct and out of bounds and ruling this eclipse in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So some of you might really, especially in the first house, some of you on a more day-to-day level could really come to terms with your own individual needs, how you really want to physically be seen in the world. Some of you, it might just be a very simple, like your appearance, taking care of your physical body, especially because Mercury, the ruler of your sixth house of health, work, and routines, will be retrograde at 0 degrees Aries, which is a critical degree in your first house. And so I think a lot of Aries risings, you might be really looking at stepping into new opportunities, new chapters, new identities, how you want to show up in the world, what you want to leave behind, and how your health and your routines and your work are heavily playing into that. So I think this could be a great opportunity to sort of expand your self-identity and goals that can consequently inspire others, right? The opposing house that's in that, the opposition, the opposing house is the 7th house of partnership. But we have the sun and the moon together in your first house of self. So where can strengthening your physical body or expanding your self-identity and how you want to sort of be in the world could create the changes you want around home, family, property, real estate, or career, business, public recognition themes. Or some of you might be thinking, what is it about career, business, public recognition, or the action or change some of you might be seeking around home, family, property, and real estate that is going to deeply support your emotional fuel, your identity, your physical body, how you want to show up in the world. So some of you might be creating new paradigms around your physical body, feeling good in your physical body again, and not just in a superficial way, but in a way that can create more vitality to the foundation of your life and also your career, as well as help balance any personal or professional partnerships. Now, Neptune ingressing the following day, the day after this eclipse takes place, could be an invitation to start considering, well, what what structures, what ideas um, need to dissolve. Maybe it's been a self-esteem. Maybe it's been certain things about, you know, who you deeply are that you want to sort of shine in the world, but maybe there's been certain structures or systems in your life that haven't allowed that to sort of blossom. And so I think Neptune in some aspects can help dissolve the outdated structures, the outdated, ways of being, where you can maybe step into more bliss. Again, feeling good in your physical body, feeling good about taking independent action in your life, where any lack of confidence or lack of belief in yourself can potentially be dissolved with Neptune's ingress into this area. So, whatever the new chapter, new opportunity may be, that could play into career or a living situation or family dynamics. Um, you know, Consider what needs to what's no longer serving, what needs to go, what needs to dissolve in order for the version of you to blossom out in the world in 2025. So, definitely very, very interesting. Now, again, the ruler of this eclipse, your ruling planet as an Aries rising, is Mars. Mars is out of bounds, ruling this eclipse, and it is now direct in your Cancer fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So, this could be a strong indicator of what needs to change about the foundation of your life. Maybe it's through the people you live with, the relationships you have with family, a renovation, a redecoration, a relocation, whatever it may be. Think about it in terms of how is it going to best support you? How is it going to set you up for success physically, mentally, emotionally out in the world? And again, going back to those midpoints, this new moon will be at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. So this is integrating your 11th house of dreams, aspirations, long-term goals, as well as your Gemini third house of communication, exchanging information, really your familiar day-to-day environment and anything within that familiar day-to-day environment. So this is also integrating the, what could come up around strengthening physical and mental power to sort of create go after the goal, create the dreams and the aspirations that you want in your lives. And also, sort of these social aspirations. Where do you feel most influenced emotionally to expand? So, lots going on, yes, in the first house of the self, the physical body, how you show up in the world. But I would say with the midpoints, it's playing into your dreams, your aspirations, expanding your social network, communicating, exchanging information, even within your daily environment. So, this could be a wonderful opportunity to plant seeds, create new chapters, new opportunities to sort of dissolve anything that is sabotaging, limiting, holding your self confidence back, your self esteem, your ability to take independent action towards your dreams, your aspirations, and your long term goals. Hello, Taurus risings. This new moon solar eclipse in Aries lands in your 12th house of the subconscious, really the more hidden area of our chart. and lives. So think, not only subconscious thought patterns, but sort of, your dreams, solitude, meditation, rest, recharge. And the more lower vibrational aspects of this would be sort of like where your limiting beliefs, your self sabotage behavior mentally occurs, in my opinion. So this eclipse could be the initiation or the start of seeing how you've overcome limitations or unexpected life events, where it could be a wonderful time to sort of pause and see the changes that have and continue to take place involving the inner workings of your mind. So you've had eclipses here for some time. So maybe some things have changed quite a bit with health or work, routines that have drastically shifted sort of your mental health, your subconscious thought patterns. Maybe it's shifted even your life vision, where you see yourselves, or vice versa, right? What's going on mentally that's affected your work, your health, your routines. Either way, I think for a lot of Taurus risings, there's been a lot of things that have transpired within these themes, where this is the last eclipse in Aries for quite a while, probably, just off the top of my head, maybe 8 or 9 years. So I think this could be a wonderful opportunity to sort of plant the seeds, the new chapters, the new opportunities around your life vision, where maybe some of you have had many opportunities to strengthen your mental thought patterns through what has transpired in life or the unexpected things in life, and starting to sort of believe in yourselves in that way, right? It's one thing to physically handle life and work and health, but it's a whole nother ball game to mentally handle life and mentally believe in yourselves and mentally be able to see the bigger picture in terms of it just being a season, and it's just a little speck in the overall life vision that you may have. So some of you might start to feel like you want to create a new way of relating to your mental thought patterns. Maybe it's a new way of relating where you've been able to see, okay, unexpected things have happened in life. There's been, whether it's work or health or whatever it may be, and you've been able to see how you've overcome it, or you are actively working through it. And so maybe there's a new way of relating to your mental thought patterns or your life vision. Some of you, perhaps you may start to really value your own solitude with this eclipse. Some of you might create new chapters around valuing rest and recharge and seeing that as part of your overall vitality or health. So some of you might start to pay attention more to your dreams, seeking more rest and solitude around this time. But I think overall, this new moon eclipse happening here could be an excellent time to not only reminisce on what has happened in the past couple years, how your mental thought patterns have shifted because of it, but I also think that this could be a really excellent opportunity to take a moment to pause and set new intentions or new chapters around developing a deeper relationship with your inner guidance and intuition, where you can start to create new patterns, new ways of thinking, of being, with that relationship to that inner guidance and intuition, especially with Neptune moving into this area. And for some of you, giving you the opportunity to sort of dissolve the outdated mental patterns or life vision, or dissolve, where you limit yourself, where you self-sabotage yourselves, and start seeing maybe the life vision where it's like, oh, there is more things going on in life. There's other opportunities, or maybe some of you will start to see, dissolve the limited picture that you've had, and you'll be able to see a bigger, wider perspective, of opportunity, and which could strengthen or even widen your life vision for yourselves. So I think this is, the 12th house is always an interesting place, but with Mercury being retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries, again, the Aries point, critical degree, and Mercury ruling your second house of earned income, self-worth, as well as your Virgo 5th house of creativity, joy, self-expression, romance, children, if applicable to you, could indicate that there's an element of what is going on mentally, or maybe a new chapter or new relationship with your inner guidance and intuition, or allowing yourselves more space for solitude to tap into that part of yourselves, where you can even create new mental thought patterns around money, around your self-worth, and also what is innately yours. What are your gifts and talents, that play into this, as well as, with the 5th house connection, this could also indicate what is going on mentally, or how can those mental thought patterns shift, where a new chapter can start, where you're like, you know what? How can I start tapping into joy, creativity, romance, the things that bring me more intimate joy in my life? And starting from that inner place, right? A lot of people, we're all guilty of this. We seek the joy through responding to the external, which is fine. We all do it. But I think with this, there's an interesting element where maybe some of you are really starting to tap into this like deep, visceral drive and motivation around creativity, and it coming from that deep inner place, not something that you're responding to or bouncing ideas off of. But if you're definitely a creative, or you work in a creative field, I think that this could really help sort of dissolve any limiting beliefs or mental thought structures that just are no longer serving, where you can sort of tap into the inner guidance, the intuition that leads to pure creativity, or, your deep visceral knowing of like what joy is going to feed you, because, it all starts internally, and whatever ecosystem we have internally, it can drastically affect our lives and what we create and what we do externally. So I think with the ruling planet of this eclipse, Mars, being out of bounds, ruling the eclipse, direct in your Cancer 3rd house of communication, exchanging information, this could be a really potent, powerful time for you to start that motivation, that desire, where maybe you can communicate that inner guidance, you can communicate that intuition, and in a way where you're sort of keeping information or things circulating to create more success or creativity or joy in your life, whatever it may be. The midpoints are also interesting because, yes, this new moon, the sun and the moon, are at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. While this is between your second house of earned income, again, what is yours, what you innately own or think you own. So your gifts, your talents, your self-worth, and your Aquarius 10th house of career, business, and public recognition. So this is why I'm sort of like, okay, yes, it is the 12th house, but because it's happening at the midpoint, infusing Jupiter and Pluto, again, expansion and power between your career, your finances, your self-worth. This is really potent for Taurus risings, in my opinion. I think this could be a very opportunistic time where you some of you could just be tapping into this like deep, visceral, mental power around creation or, creating the life that you want financially, or career business wise, as well as you are mentally and potentially like emotionally. But I think it's going to be, because we're talking about the 12th house, it could just be sort of the mental thought patterns, the intuition, sort of that deep inner guidance, could help expand the social aspirations or influence the expansion between, the finances and the career that you really want to happen in 2025. But in a way where it's sort of like you're probably internalizing it. It's sort of like your inner world, your inner guidance is, or intuition is allowing you to potentially feel your way through it when I'm looking at the midpoints. So I think Taurus risings, this could be a very potent new moon for some of you, where you could really initiate that plan of action, the motivation, the desire, potentially through personal and professional partnerships, where you can really start to step into expanding your life vision, trusting your inner guidance, your intuition, creating new chapters around that ultimately could lead to social aspirations, expansion, and empowerment financially, and also career. Hello, Gemini risings. This new moon solar eclipse lands in your Aries 11th house. Now, the 11th house is your friends, groups, communities, and long-term goals. So you can think of it as sort of like your social network, but it's really like your dreams, your aspirations, and your long-term goals. So I think this could be an opportunistic time of setting new chapters involving your own ideals and aspirations that could consequently have a contagious effect on your social network. So again, Neptune is going to move into this area, I think, helping you sort of dissolve outdated structures or boundaries that just may no longer serve you in terms of like the expansion you want to seek, or the ideal situation you want to seek around social network and your long-term goals. Now, through doing that, like I said, this could turn into or be the start of a new chapter where you could have that contagious effect on your social network. So I think This could also have an element of stepping into new ways, new opportunities that feed your zest for life, that also fuels the accomplishments you seek. So I think this for a lot of Gemini risings, especially with the other planetary movements that's been going on, particularly Saturn through the 10th house of career, this could be the eclipse where maybe a lot of you have been thinking about, what do I want to build? What legacy do I want to leave behind? What social status or public recognition do I really seek? And now I think you could be stepping into, okay, well, how can I step into the accomplishment, the goals, the social network that actually is a fuel source for your zest for life? So again, perhaps some of you are changing or releasing certain aspects of your social network to expand in a more aligned direction. Mercury, at the time of this new moon eclipse happening in your 11th house, Mercury will be at retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries. Again, that Aries point, that critical degree. This is important for Gemini risings because Mercury is your ruling planet. It rules your first house of the physical body, the self, as well as your Virgo 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So some Gemini risings, it's, on the table. Some of you might be thinking about, your physical body, your appearance, how you really want to show up in the world, how you want other people to view you in terms of the goals, the aspirations, and the social network that might be changing, shifting, or, new chapters, new opportunities happening there. What some of you might also be heavily considering your living situation, a relocation, a renovation, a redecoration, relationships with family, relationships with people you live with. How are they supporting, or how are those themes creating the space for you to achieve your goals and aspirations? So there is that element there. Now, the ruling planet of this eclipse, Mars, is, like I mentioned in the intro, is out of bounds, and it is direct at this point. So direct, ruling the eclipse, and out of bounds. In my opinion, this is a pretty strong player with what is unfolding in the eclipse. Now, Mars is out of bounds, ruling the eclipse, and direct in your second house of earned income and self-worth. So this is interesting because the plan of action, the desires, the core motivations around your innate gifts, talents, self-worth, and also finances could be playing a part in this new chapter, this new opportunity, or planting new seeds around really expanding your dreams and your goals in life for many of you, or your social network. So this, whatever's going on, it could definitely play into sort of like your self-worth, your gifts and talents, but I think it could also be playing into finances, how to, maybe there are deep, visceral motivations and desires at this point around not only going after your dreams and your aspirations, but also being compensated for them. And, through that, again, Neptune entering the 11th house, you know, inspiring other people to go after their ideals in life. The midpoints, again, the sun and the moon are conjunct with the new moon, and they are at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. So again, we're talking about expansion and power between your Gemini first house of self and Aquarius ninth house of growth and potential. Now, for some of you, this might involve career and public recognition if your midheaven is in your Aquarius ninth house. But regardless, I think there could be the opportunity to create new chapters, new opportunities around your dreams, your aspirations, your long-term goals, changing or expanding your social network. And through that, stepping into a level of strength or mental power to create or initiate those goals and aspirations, but in a way where I think you could be feeling your way through it, where I think with all the components that I'm looking at, I think you could be feeling your way through it, but in a way where, because Mercury is retrograde and it's ruling your physical body, it rules a self. I think you could be feeling your way through it, on an individual level, a somatic, within your own self. But you could also be feeling your way through it, in your own sacred space, right? Your own home, maybe certain relationships with family could play a pivotal part in you sort of feeling your way through it with that moon at the midpoint. But regardless, I think this new moon is integrating the expansion of self and the empowerment through your own individual growth and potential that could be really initiating around this time. Cancer risings, this new moon solar eclipse is at the height of your chart. It is landing in your Aries 10th house of career, business, and public recognition. So I think in addition to Neptune ingressing into this area the following day, this could be a wonderful opportunity to create or start to create new patterns and paradigms within your career, business, social status, or public recognition. So this could be a great time to step into the career, the business, the public recognition that you really want to create in 2025. That might require you to, with Neptune, dissolve any insecurities, fears, or any sort of outdated limiting boundaries or structures that no longer support that next phase or next chapter in this area of your life. So the ruling planet of this eclipse, Mars, is out of bounds and direct in your Cancer first house of self. So I think this eclipse has the potential to be very, very personal to Cancer risings. It's really involving your own independent action, your identity, your appearance, how you want to show up in the world. And with Mars being out of bounds, it could just be this very deep, visceral sort of, emotional fuel behind who you want to be, how you want to go after the career, the business, the public recognition around this time, and sort of creating the new chapter or taking advantage of any new opportunities that start to come up around this time. Now, Mercury will be retrograde at 0 degrees Aries, again, the Aries point critical degree. And Mercury rules your 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, as well as your Virgo 3rd house of communication, exchanging information, as well as anything in your sort of familiar environment. So there is an element of looking at your own, I would say, pay attention to your life vision, what's going on mentally, how are you sort of tapping into your own intuition, your own inner guidance, being able to communicate that potentially or integrate that within your own familiar day-to-day environment that could sort of help you or assist you in stepping into this new chapter with whatever's playing out with career projects, business, public recognition. Again, Neptune will move into your Aries 10th house, I think, allowing you to, or helping you sort of dissolve to, I think with the eclipse, it's sort of like, what new ideas, where do you want to up level in this social status, this business, this career, where the structures and the systems and the ways of operating have gotten you to this juncture. But now what needs to dissolve within those current systems or structures that doesn't support the next phase or the next chapter you really want to step into regarding career, business, public recognition. Now, when you look at the midpoints of this, it can sort of give you a little bit more clues as to what you may be feeling or experiencing around this time. And with the sun, again, new moon, sun and moon are conjunct in your 10th house of career, and it's at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. So we're talking about the planet of expansion versus the planet of transformation and power. Between your Gemini 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, life vision, and your Aquarius 8th house of transformation and other people's resources. So some of you might be sort of creating new chapters, new ideas, new things that you're stepping into or want to step into regarding career and public recognition. But there is this potentially strong physical and mental power involving your own intuition, your own inner guidance, and also your resources, as well as potentially being able to sort of expand and empower yourselves by sort of like moving through it. And again, as a Cancer rising, like your ruling luminary is the moon. We're talking about, an eclipse. So I think this could be a very, potentially visible, like new chapters, new beginning. Maybe you're launching something, you're gearing up to step into, maybe you're wanting to change your social status or change, your relationship with public recognition. But there is this like really powerful behind the scenes midpoint activity where I think the mental power, the intuition, the inner guidance, the transformational work, and even being able to tap into resources are going to help fuel that expansion and empowerment, particularly around any new chapters involving career, business, and public recognition. Hello, Leo risings. This new moon solar eclipse lands in your Aries ninth house. So I think this could be a wonderful new opportunity, new chapter, or planting seeds to create more adventure and freedom in your lives, potentially to pursue that growth and potential you desire in life or that you want to create in 2025, whether it's through higher knowledge, writing, travel, spirituality, teaching, etc. Now, if you have your midheaven in your Aries ninth house, this could have career and public recognition themes written all over it as well. So I think this could be a journey of expanding your consciousness mentally and or physically through that growth and potential in your life that could directly impact your career, your business, your public recognition. So with Neptune moving into this area the following day, it could sort of initiate the dissolution of outdated ideas, patterns, structures that no longer support the new chapter or the next level of growth and potential you want to create in your lives, whether it's through writing, teaching, traveling, higher knowledge, spirituality, whatever it may be, whatever growth and potential specifically means for you at this juncture in your lives. Mercury will be retrograde and at 0 degrees of your Aries ninth house. Now, this is interesting because Mercury rules your second house of earned income, self-worth. But the second house I like to think of as like that, what's innately yours or what you think is yours. Your gifts and your talents could also theoretically land here. So there could be an element of maybe you're looking at new chapters of expanding consciousness or expanding growth and potential in your lives that have a direct impact to your finances and or self-worth, as well as your social network and your long-term goals, because Mercury also rules your Gemini 11th house of friends, groups, communities, long-term goals. So this looks like this could be a wonderful opportunity to see how the new chapter, the new opportunity, or planting those seeds for that new wave of growth and potential to take place in your lives could expand your social network, your goals, your aspirations, and even your finances. Now, the ruler of the eclipse, Mars, will be out of bounds and direct in your Cancer 12th house of the subconscious thought patterns, your dreams, solitude, really the more hidden aspect of your chart and thus your lives. So with Mars ruling the eclipse, being out of bounds and direct in your Cancer 12th house, it's sort of like, where is that deep, visceral connection to your inner guidance, your intuition that could help assist that plan of action, your core motivations and desires around the growth and potential you really want to create in 2025 into 2026. When you consider the midpoints, right, we have the sun and the moon in conjunction with this eclipse, and it's at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. We have it at the midpoint of between of the planets involved with expansion and transformation and empowerment. So this is very powerful. And it's involving the area of that 11th house of dreams, aspirations, goals, social network, as well as your 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, including marriage. So, this eclipse has the opportunity to not only be a new beginning or new chapter involving the growth and potential you really want to expand in 2025, that could have a direct impact to your social network, your finances, your long term goals, but also be fueled by your own inner guidance, your own inner knowing and intuition that somehow directly provides an opportunity or potential opportunity to expand that social network, expand the dreams and aspirations through that next level of growth and potential, but also actively transform and create more empowerment in your personal and professional partnerships. Hello, Virgo risings. This new moon solar eclipse lands in your Aries 8th house of transformation and other people's resources. So, this could involve planting new seeds, new opportunities, and new chapters that involve new ways of creating mutual empowerment through transformational work or merging of resources. So, whether you're partnered up or single, this could involve your own, up leveling, new chapters involving transforming yourself, transforming your life, sort of leaving behind the old patterns or no longer going back to old patterns, old fears, old ways of being, especially with Neptune entering this area. It could start to provide an opportunity to dissolve the fears, outdated patterns, or structures around transforming yourself, transforming your life. But with the 8th house, we also have to consider, resources. It is a financial house, so this could be sort of creating a new chapter or journey around merging assets, investments through professional or personal partnerships, as well as maybe setting new intentions or new chapters around the partnership you want in terms of what does mutual empowerment mean to you? What does merging within partnership mean to you? And how does that play into the particular person you want to attract into your life? But on an individual level, this could just be a new chapter where maybe you start to invest differently, you start to up level or think about new ways of expanding your investments, your assets, paying off debt, et cetera, et cetera. So some of you might also be stepping into a new paradigm of increasing long-term value through investing time, money, or other resources individually or within partnerships where you can see that transformational effect of releasing fears that block mutual empowerment. So when we're talking about the 8th house, particularly in the arena of partnership and how we sort of share resources or merge resources, again, whether you're single or partnered up, this could be a new chapter where you start to see how fear might shape or limit the transformational effects with your own resources or shared resources. Mercury, your ruling planet, will be retrograde and at 0 degrees of your Aries 8th house. This is the Aries point. It is a critical degree, so this has a very interesting strengthening factor, in my opinion. But for you, it's your ruling planet. So you might feel this more around this time. So this tells me whatever new chapter, new opportunity around, those things I mentioned, the resources, the transformational work, mutual empowerment, investments, assets, debt, loans, those kinds of things. Whether it's transformational work or financial matters, again, your own individual or within personal or professional partnerships, there's an element of looking at your own individual needs. What is really going to support you? And additionally, because Mercury rules your Gemini 10th house, there is an element of what's really going to support your long-term career, business, public recognition, growth, or trajectory. So yes, this is a new moon solar eclipse in your 8th house, potentially creating new chapters or themes around those 8th house themes. But when you zoom out and you look at the bigger picture, this is heavily, in my opinion, influencing your first house of self and also your career. Neptune, like I mentioned, will move into this Aries 8th house. So again, whatever new chapters, new opportunities you want to create, either through transformational work or long-term finances, whether it's individual or merging of resources within partnership, this could be the opportunity to sort of dissolve the outdated structures or fears that prevent you from building that new chapter or taking that new opportunity towards what you really want. The ruler of this eclipse, Mars, will be in your Cancer 11th house of friends, groups, communities, long-term goals. But the 11th house is like your social network, your dreams, your aspirations, your goals. And with Mars ruling this eclipse, also out of bounds and direct in this Cancer 11th house of yours, is sort of a signal of whatever's going on where you're contemplating what's really going to support you, really support your long-term career or business trajectory, as well as any transformational work and or long-term financial goals, whether it's your own or within partnership. There could be this deep fuel source where it's all potentially coming together to serve expanding your social network, expanding your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, and achieving your goals. So I think there's a lot going on here, but I think it's really coming together with a potential plan of action, your core desires and motivations in a very deep, potentially visceral way around, okay, maybe, I want to look at the career or look at what serves me or, look at the transformational work or the long-term financial goals, whether it's individual or within partnership. But ultimately, it could be like the purpose behind it could be to create or sort of expand the plan of action around your goals, your social network. Or maybe some of you are turning to your social network to create the change in action around the mutual empowerment you really seek. So this is interesting because it has a little bit of you, it has a little bit of career, lots going on in the transformation financial resource department, but somehow it's tying into the plan of action, the desire, and the motivation involving who you surround yourselves with, and do they support those long-term goals. When we look at the midpoints, we have this eclipse at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto, again, the planet of expansion and the planet of transformation and power, between your Gemini 10th house of career and your Aquarius 6th house of work, health, and routines. So again, this has another element of what's going on physically and mentally to also create the health, the work, the career, and public recognition that maybe you're sort of stepping into or wanting to create in 2025, even in 2026. So I think there's a lot that you could be looking at within your own transformation, dissolving the outdated patterns, fears, releasing them in a way where you can't go back to those old fears or those old patterns. How can you create mutual empowerment in your life? How can you potentially plant the seeds for mutual empowerment or step into mutual empowerment wherever you are on that journey, where you can expand those resources, expand finances, expand the transformation you want to seek, that also has somehow a direct, powerful influence around expanding your career, your business, but also your health. That some of you might really be able to tap into that social network. There could be people within your social network that could provide you additional resources to step into the expansion you potentially want to seek in the career and the transformation and the empowerment around your health and your vitality. Hello, Libra risings. This new moon solar eclipse in Aries is landing in your 7th house of personal and professional partnership, including marriage. So really any of your long-term sort of closest partnerships in your life, where this eclipse could be an opportunity to sort of rewrite the script or create a new story or new way of existing and relating to others, where the mirror of close partnerships could help you reevaluate the self, where you could maybe express and create balance between your needs versus the needs of others. So this could be a new chapter, a new opportunity where you could step into a new way of being within partnership or a new way of understanding the partnership you need, where it's not just about the partnership. It's sort of like a the word that keeps coming up in my mind, it's like self-feeding, like it's like a feedback loop where it's about the partnership, but it's sort of like, your needs versus the needs of the other, and it sort of creates this like sustainable partnership or system where you can sort of mirror back and forth to each other. I think all in all, though, I think this could be a wonderful opportunity to sort of step into that new paradigm that some of you have already been working on, right? The eclipses and the nodes were here recently for, roughly 18 months with the eclipses. So this is really nothing new. I just think that this could be, with this being that last eclipse on your Libra Aries axis, which is the axis of you versus the other in your lives, that it could be this really strong opportunity to finally step into the new paradigm of relationship or partnership that you want, or that you've been working towards, or the one you want to attract. Now, Mercury will be retrograde at that 0-degree mark in Aries, which is the Aries point. It is a critical degree. So the day of the eclipse, this has me looking at your 12th house of the subconscious thought patterns, as well as your Gemini 9th house of growth and potential. So this isn't just about partnership. I mean, sure, the eclipse is happening in your 7th house of partnership, but I think there is an element of, in order to maybe step into the new chapter within partnership, or attract the partnership you want within this new chapter, it could require sort of this revisionary period around your thought patterns, your life vision, the growth and potential you seek, and how maybe some of you are starting to integrate, okay, well, in order for personal and professional partnerships to be successful in my life, I have to start communicating my life vision, where what is the bigger picture here? What are the thought patterns that are playing out that could be really valuable insight for the personal and or professional partnership, as well as what is the growth and potential? What growth and potential are you really seeking in your lives that you really want to integrate within partnership, where it's not only about their needs, it's also balancing your needs as well. Again, Neptune is going to enter your 7th house of partnership the day after this eclipse takes place. So whatever new chapter, planting new seeds, or new opportunity that happens within personal and professional partnerships, Neptune ingresses the following day, and it's sort of this opportunity to say, okay, what do you want to release? What do you want to dissolve around, what were the old patterns, or the old systems, or the old ways of existing within partnership that just no longer serve anymore. And you can sort of release them, say goodbye to them. Maybe for some of you, releasing those fears that were there, or the fear that contributed to whatever transpired. So Neptune, I think, is going to be this long journey, but the ingress of Neptune after this eclipse, where a lot of you could be starting this new perspective, this new chapter around, really balancing your individual needs versus the needs of others, and creating partnership that values your thoughts, values your intuition, values the growth and potential, where the partnership or the potential partnership can be the foundation of, building what you want in life, the legacy, the growth, the potential, the business, the family, whatever it may be. Now, the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, will be in your Cancer 10th house, out of bounds and direct. So this is interesting because we have it ruling the eclipse. It's out of bounds, like I mentioned in the intro, and it has been now direct. So this could also play a part in sort of how you want to, how do you want to be seen in the world, your social status, your public recognition, but also for many of you, this can involve career and business as well. So this could be sort of, what is the plan of action? What are the core motivations and desires around career, business, public recognition that has you potentially really deeply, for some of you, even like this visceral, mental, emotional power kind of coming up around this time that is really having you look at your partnerships or the partnership area of your life. What partnerships haven't served you? What are serving you within your current personal and professional partnerships? What new paradigm do you really want to step into? And in order to step into that, how is it playing a part in sort of your public recognition, your social status, your career, and your business? So, a lot of you could be looking at sort of the trajectory, the plan of action around your career. Maybe some of you want to make changes to that area, and you're looking at who is fully supporting you and your needs versus their needs, and taking into account and valuing, your intuition, your thought patterns, the growth and potential you want to seek. So this honestly, generally speaking, again, I don't have your natal chart. This looks like the opportunity to really envision a new chapter within personal and professional partnerships, including marriage, where it could be a totally new paradigm that really takes into account the more sacred, intuitive aspects of the partnership, but also the growth and potential, where some of you might be seeking the partnerships in your life or the partnership you want to attract that also supports those areas, but also supports, your deep desires and motivations around career and business. Now, if it's later in life, some of you might really start to think about the changes or retirement and how that might be shifting a new paradigm within, partnerships in your life or the desire for partnership. So this isn't just about, work or career. It could even be later in life where maybe you want to make a change or you're thinking about retirement and you're taking into account sort of your own inner guidance, your own plans of actions, your core motivations and desires, and how you really want to integrate the next phase of growth and potential in your lives. The eclipse, again, talking about the midpoints, the eclipse is at the midpoint of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and Pluto, the planet of transformation and empowerment. So there is this sort of infusion in your chart between the fifth house of joy and the ninth house of growth and potential. So again, anything you're seeking for growth and potential, travel, higher knowledge, spirituality, teaching, writing, etc. So I think there is also this element of, okay, growth and potential, but really joy as well. How do we infuse the creative pursuits or the joy, the romance, the self-expression, or children, if applicable to you? So there's a lot on the table here, but I think with the midpoints, the physical and mental power, it could be coming from your creative pursuits, your relationships with children, if applicable, whatever intimately brings you joy, whatever is your heart's desire, as well as, the next phase of growth and potential you're really sort of yearning for or desiring and envisioning at this juncture. So those two areas can provide a lot of physical and mental power that can sort of help influence that expansion and empowerment to not only those areas, but also your personal and professional partnerships, including marriage. Hello, Scorpio risings. This new moon solar eclipse in Aries lands in your sixth house of daily work, health, and routines. So Generally speaking, this could be a great new moon for setting new chapters and new opportunities for work, but also health and any work and or health goals where you can really start to put practical application towards it. Some of you might be focused on really balancing the needs of the mind and body. Maybe it's prioritizing rest and recharge versus work and daily routines. So a lot of you, the eclipses, the past couple years roughly have been landing in on this axis, the mind body axis, as I like to call it. So, this is nothing new, but this could be sort of sorry, my phone. This could be the new chapter where you can really start to integrate or create more value around your routines, your structure to create more vitality. But if we break it down even more, what is the purpose? Okay, new moon, new chapter, new opportunity around maybe work, health, routines. But what's it all for? Where are the details that play into the story of why? So when I zoom out and I look, Mercury is retrograde at 0 degrees on your Aries cusp. So this is the Aries point. This is a critical degree. And Mercury rules your Virgo 11th house of your social network, your dreams, your aspirations, your long-term goals, as well as your Gemini 8th house of transformational work and resources. So it could be about new chapters around creating more vitality, either with health or work. But it could be due to sort of maybe setting, like, I would say, how can those things, focusing on those things, really set you up for success in terms of being able to pursue your long-term goals, expand your social network, expand your resources like investments, assets, transformational work. And so this is where I think some Scorpio risings, you might start to see where making sure that you're getting proper rest, time to sort of turn inward, what's going on mentally, what's going on physically, where can routines maybe be restructured a bit to support your mental and physical health so that you have the vitality and the energy to go after your long-term goals, to invest in yourselves, invest in your transformational work, invest in your resources. The ruler of the eclipse, Mars, will be in your Cancer 9th house of growth and potential. So, higher knowledge, spirituality, travel, teaching, publishing, anything you're pursuing for growth and potential. But this Mars ruling this eclipse has been direct, is out of bounds, which I discussed in the intro. And like I said, is ruling the eclipse. So this is also tying in sort of the plan of action, core motivations and desires that many of you have sorted out for months now around the growth and potential you want to create in 2025 and even into 2026. Where Neptune might come, well, might, Neptune is coming into this 6th house of health and work and routines for you, where it might require you to sort of dissolve outdated structures, patterns, especially with Saturn coming into the picture soon, where what used to work for your health, your work, and your routines, that is no longer going to support the vitality for health, work, growth, and potential in your lives. Now, going into the midpoints, we have this eclipse creating a potential opportunity for a new chapter involving health, work, routines, and establishing the health, work, and routines that is going to set you up for success mentally, physically, but also to achieve your long-term goals, growth, and potential, where it's at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. Now, Jupiter is a planet of expansion, and Pluto is a planet of transformation and empowerment. And this is really now integrating your 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate, as well as your 8th house of transformation and resources, including partners' resources, so investments, assets, debt, loans, where this isn't just about you setting a new, health or work routine and, going after your goals. This is also potentially having you look at where you can maybe tap into more power and expansion through looking at your resources, even other people's resources, as well as your living situation. So, how can transforming and empowering home, family dynamics, relationships with people you live with, even property, real estate themes provide the transformation and empowerment that could consequently create the expansion of transformational work and resources that also support your health, your work, and your routines that, like I said, could really set you up with this new chapter for success pertaining to your dreams, your aspirations, and your long-term goals in 2025. Hello, Sagittarius risings. This new moon solar eclipse lands in your Aries 5th house, which could be an opportunity for new beginnings involving joy, creation, whether it's through creative pursuits, self-expression, romance, or children, if applicable to you. So definitely think about heart's desire, joy, and or creation that you want to step into in 2025, where perhaps some of you will be stepping into a new paradigm of accepting the pleasures of life, whether it's through your own creativity, your own self-expression, relationships with your children, romantic situations. Now, this could be fun for Sagittarius risings, particularly because where this new moon eclipse is taking place, yes, it could be a new beginning, a new opportunity involving creative pursuits, self-expression, really tapping into your heart's desire, joy, creation. So by sign, it trines your 1st house of the physical body and the self. So whatever new chapter or opportunity you're really wanting to step into and create in terms of, joy, creativity, self-expression, romance, children. It's in a it's in an aspect where obstacles are typically dissolved. So whatever's going on, it could directly support your physical body, your appearance, how you show up in the world. So definitely keep that in mind. How is stepping into your heart's desire, whatever that may be at this time, joy, relationships with your children, romantic situations, going to positively support your identity, your appearance, your physical body, how you want to show up in the world? This could be sort of a welcomed situation for many of you where some of you might be wanting to step into things not having to be so challenging. Saturn's been going through your Pisces fourth house for some time, and that has certainly created a lot of change and action, trials and tribulations, and discipline to, many, external areas of your life, not just home and family, where I think this new moon solar eclipse could really be the opportunity to choose more ease, more joy, the things that bring you joy, step into more creation in your lives. And what's interesting is that Mercury will be retrograde and at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the Aries point. It is a critical degree, and it rules your 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, as well as your 10th house of career, business, and public recognition. So for some of you, you might be stepping into a new chapter of self-expression and/or creativity that is fueling something within your career, your business, or your public recognition. Some of you might also be sort of looking at your approach to romance, your approach to joy within personal and professional partnerships. Maybe you're rewriting that script. Maybe you're changing the way that you relate to other people, including personal and professional partnerships, also marriage, and what sort of like your heart's desire, the joy that you want to infuse into personal and professional partnerships that could also support career and public recognition. But some of you might also just be reviewing and revising your partnerships, your career, business, public recognition in a way where maybe you're ready to sort of change certain aspects of these areas to create more space or spaciousness for the creativity, the joy, sort of the new projects or the new way of existing to create more pleasure and joy in your lives. The ruler of this eclipse, Mars, is in your Cancer 8th house of transformational work and resources, including partner resources. Now, this Mars, like I mentioned in the intro, not only rules this eclipse, but it has been direct and it is out of bounds. So there is an element of maybe, transformational work or looking at your long-term financial management as well, or maybe a partner's resources is playing a part in this. That could really have you, maybe some of you are looking at transformational work or resources, including financial resources, that's helping you step into a new chapter of joy and creation. The midpoints are particularly interesting because the eclipse is at the midpoint of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and Pluto, the planet of transformation and empowerment. So there is this infusion or integration that's going on as well that's tying in your third house of communication, siblings, extended family, really your familiar environment, as well as your seventh house of personal and professional partnerships. So, whatever's going on financially, resources, transformational work, that's somehow tying into this new chapter or this new opportunity involving your children, if applicable, romance and your approach to it, as well as any of your heart's desire, creative pursuits, self expression, and just overall tapping into joy, enjoying life in a more intimate way, is somehow setting the stage to potentially expand your communication or any communicative work, as well as transform and empower your personal and professional partnerships. Hello, Capricorn risings. This new moon solar eclipse lands in your Aries fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So this could definitely amplify new beginnings and new chapters involving these themes, where some of you might be focusing or are already have been focusing with the eclipses that occurred here in the past couple years, where it's about creating a foundation, family relationships or dynamics, as well as any real estate dealings that aren't rocked by external life. So for some of you, this could be an opportunistic period to create new chapters around the foundation of your life, and whatever is that foundation, whether it's home, family relationships, people you live with, property, real estate, whatever it may be, it could be a really opportunistic period to create that foundation or solidify, if you already have it, solidify that foundation where life, trials, tribulations, just life in general doesn't affect it. It doesn't rock it. Some of you might also be really focused on new opportunities involving family relationships, people you live with, property and real estate that could create inner and outer security. Again, involving those themes that you can confidently build on. Now, Mercury will be retrograde at 0 degrees Aries, which is the Aries point. It is a critical degree. So Mercury rules that Gemini sixth house of yours. So this is also potentially integrating health, work, routines, as well as your Virgo ninth house of growth and potential. So some of you might be looking to creating new chapters or solidifying that foundation in your lives involving home, family, property, and real estate to build vitality, build the work, the growth, the potential that you're seeking in 2025 into 2026. Neptune's ingress into your Aries fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate the day after this eclipse takes place is interesting because it sort of signals whatever new chapter, a new beginning that you want to take around a living situation, home, family, property, real estate that could support your growth and potential as well as your health, your work, and your routines might require you to sort of start dissolving outdated patterns or beliefs that maybe once supported that foundation in your life that has gotten you to this juncture, but may not fully support the vision that you have regarding the foundation of your life and the life that you want to build on top of it. The ruler of this eclipse is Mars, and Mars is now direct in your 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, including marriage, and it is also out of bounds. So whatever's taking place regarding home, family, property, real estate, to build and expand your growth and potential, your work, or your health, there could be an element of really deep, visceral desire and motivation within personal and professional partnerships that could be playing into this plan of action. So whether you're single or partnered up, it could be about the partnerships that you want to attract, or the, establishing the motivations and the desires and the plan of action within those personal and professional partnerships that could be the support or quite literally part of the plan in terms of home, family, property, and real estate, and that foundation that you potentially really want to build or solidify to create more growth and potential in your lives. Now, going into the midpoints, this eclipse is at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto, the planet of expansion and the planet of transformation and empowerment. So whatever new chapter, new beginning, planting new seeds around that foundation, again, home, family, property, and real estate, could have a serious feeling or element of physical and mental power involving your finances, your self-worth, as well as your daily work and health routines. So where the expansion, transformation, and empowerment could sort of come from could be the finances, the daily work and health routines, or this new beginning and new chapter around home, family, property, real estate themes in your life could create that mental and physical power to influence and expand your vitality, your work, and your finances. Hello, Aquarius risings. This new moon solar eclipse lands in your Aries 3rd house. So some themes to pay attention to would be communication, communicative fields, as well as exchanging information, social events, your familiar environment, and things within your familiar environment, like siblings, neighbors, extended family, your car, your phone, your laptop. But on a deeper level, what could this new moon really mean for Aquarius risings? And I think this could be a very powerful opportunity to create a new chapter involving your everyday life, where communication, sharing information, and ideas can not only add great value, but I also think that this is where sort of circulation can start to take place. The ideas, the communication can consequently create more movement in your everyday lives. Now, Mercury will be retrograde and at 0 degrees of Aries the day this eclipse takes place, which is significant because it's at the Aries point, which is a critical degree. And Mercury rules your Gemini 5th house of joy and creation and anything involved with creation, like children, creative projects, romance, etc. as well as your Virgo 8th house of transformation and resources, including a partner's resources. So this could be tying in themes where maybe you're strongly revising your heart's desire, revising any transformational work or patterns that you've released and can no longer go back to, as well as any resources that are available to you to support this everyday life and movement in your everyday life, whether it's through communication fields, short distance travel, a relationship with neighbors, siblings, extended family. Neptune's ingress into your Aries 3rd house the day after this eclipse takes place could help assist you in sort of dissolving the patterns, structures, especially with Saturn moving into this area shortly. But it could just help you sort of dissolve what's no longer supporting your everyday environment, your day-to-day lives, or your ability to. I also think what's interesting with Neptune entering this area, if you work in communication fields, so anything where you're communicating, exchanging information, again, like podcasts, social media type, where it's like you're doing any of those kinds of, that kind of work, can't talk, excuse me. I think Neptune entering this area might help you not only dissolve the patterns or the way the systems, the structures, again, shortly with Saturn moving into this area, that maybe have supported this area of your chart and thus life up until this point, but parts of that may no longer support the new chapter that you want to step into. That is also integrating heart's desire, creation, transformation, and resources as well. So it might not just be about communication, exchanging information, working with things within your familiar environment, but it could be sort of the tools that you're working with to create more joy and creation and resources and transformation. Or those areas could be sort of integrating and infusing the joy, the creation, the resources, and the desire for transformation within your day-to-day environment. A lot of times we think of creativity and joy as something that's outside of ourselves, something we have to schedule or plan for. I think this, for some of you, could be a wonderful opportunity to sort of dissolve what's no longer serving in terms of courage, conviction, confidence in your ability to actually integrate joy and creation into your everyday lives. It's not something you have to sort of schedule for. It could be something that is just around you or available to you all the time. The ruler of this eclipse, Cancer, the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, is in your Cancer 6th house, been direct, and out of bounds. So this is also tying into your vitality with your work and or your health. So again, what new chapter are some of you starting that might involve your everyday life? Again, where communication, sharing information, and ideas adds great value and movement to your life, where some of you might also be sort of looking at joy and creation as something that should be around you or available to you in your everyday lives. That also has a direct impact on your deepest desires, motivations, and plan of action involving your health, your work, and your routines. Going into the midpoints a little bit, we have this eclipse at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto, the planet of expansion and the planet of transformation and empowerment. And this is really this new chapter that I've been discussing, again, involving those third house and other parts of your chart sort of connections. The midpoints is involving your first house of the physical body, the self, your ability to independently take action, as well as your fifth house of joy and creation, or anything involved with creation, whether it's creative projects, romance, children. So this could be not only a new chapter around those third house themes that I've discussed, but it could have a direct impact to expanding your ability to take independent action, confidently going after the things that you want, taking care of or strengthening the physical body, your appearance, as well as your ability to transform and empower your creative pursuits and projects, your self-expression, creation, relationships with children, romance. So I think this is actually, when you start looking at it from a zoomed out perspective, it looks quite potent. Where sure, it's the third house, okay, communication, exchanging information, daily environment. But when you start looking at it, you're like, whoa, what is changing in your familiar environment where you can step into a new opportunity or chapter of sort of being able to have joy and creation, being able to tap into it in your everyday lives, where you can really expand and create abundance through your own independent action in the self, but also transform and empower yourselves in the physical body while also expanding and creating abundance through creation, joy, and your heart's desire. So the Jupiter Pluto, the midpoints are fascinating to me with this, because I think there could be a very strong physical and mental power that really transforms you and expands joy and creation. But it is powerfully creating this new way of existing in your everyday lives, where you start to circulate information and ideas. Maybe some of you are starting to interact more with your neighborhood or your daily environment, where you can start to see the abundance, expansion, empowerment by just focusing on your familiar environment, your own neighborhood, or metaphorically your backyard. That will start to grow and expand to a much larger platform or level. So I think this is where a lot of Aquarius risings, you might start to realize like, whoa, I can really expand my heart's desire, my creation, my joy, transform and empower myself by just starting, just looking in your immediate environment and watching how that can start to exponentially grow outward throughout 2025 and into 2026. Hello, Pisces risings. This new moon solar eclipse in Aries lands in your second house. Now, the second house is notoriously known for your earned income, material possessions, and self-worth. But I also like to think of the second house as what's yours. You know, if it's your paycheck, the eighth house is other people's resources. So when we're talking about the second house, I like to think of what you take ownership of, not just material, but also energetic. So your gifts, your talents. And so I actually think that this new moon solar eclipse can be a really powerful time of getting in touch or creating new chapters around your deepest values and self-worth. Some of you might also be creating a new chapter of strengthening, as well as leadership involving your financial, emotional, and spiritual values. So some of you might really be stepping into a new way of expanding, trailblazing your financial, emotional, and spiritual values. A good question I have for some of you is how can you step into a new paradigm of using your assets, innate gifts, and talents to not only strengthen, but also expand that financial, emotional, and spiritual aspects of your life. Mercury will be retrograde and at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the Aries point. It is a critical degree. So I have to sort of consider how Mercury might be playing into this new chapter. Now, Mercury rules your 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, as well as your Gemini 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So for some of you, as you're maybe wanting to step into a new chapter financially, emotionally, and or spiritually, maybe you're trailblazing, you're sort of courageously going after new ways or creating new paradigms to expand your financial, emotional, and spiritual values. But you could also simultaneously be revising or changing how you relate with other people, your personal and professional partnerships. Maybe it's a living situation, a property, relationships with family that are changing or being revised around this time that could be playing a part in this new chapter of going after and potentially strengthening the financial, emotional, and spiritual aspects of your life. The day after the eclipse goes exact, Neptune ingresses into this second house, which could be an opportunity to sort of dissolve the ideas or patterns that really no longer serve this new chapter involving your financial, emotional, and spiritual values. So yes, it is a new chapter, a new opportunity where I think you're changing the way you connect with other people, you relate with other people. Maybe a lot's transpired in the area of partnership, or you're changing the way things operate at home. or relationships with family, or maybe there's something going on with property and or real estate. Regardless, I think the Neptune's ingress into this area can sort of be an opportunity to see where the old way of operating on how you expanded your financial, emotional, and spiritual values may no longer be working. Some of you may start to see where the new financial, emotional, and or spiritual chapter you want to step into, or trailblazing or courageously going after the things that are going to support this area. The old patterns, the old way are no longer going to support that vision of what you want. So it's really powerful and potent to focus on where you want to trailblaze, the vision you want to create financially, emotionally, even spiritually, where you can sort of release the old ways or the old patterns that don't serve this new vision or this new chapter, where many of you want to expand the financial, emotional, or spiritual. So very, very interesting, but I think it could be stepping into, especially really throughout 2025, even into 2026, this new paradigm, structures, systems involving your finances and your self-worth. The ruler of this eclipse is Mars, and Mars will be direct and out of bounds in your Cancer 5th house of joy and creation. Anything to do with creation, whether that's children, romance, creative projects, pursuits, really the heart's desire. So it's not just about the second house of earned income and self-worth. I think this is also really heavily playing into the heart's desire, the plan of action, the core motivations around creating more joy and tapping into life's pleasures, whether that's through your creative projects or self-expression or romance or children, again, if applicable to you. So some of you might really be actively pursuing your heart's desire, expanding the joy, expanding the creative projects through, maybe it's higher knowledge, maybe it's through travel, spirituality, writing, publishing, teaching, whatever, whatever's going to, it's not just the deep visceral desire and motivation around all forms of creation and joy. It's also supporting your growth and potential in your life. The midpoints are particularly interesting to me because it's involving the planet of expansion and the planet of transformation and empowerment, where this eclipse will actually be at the midpoint of Jupiter and Pluto. Again, the planet of expansion and the planet of transformation and empowerment. So there's another layer where, sure, new chapter, planting new seeds, new opportunities around strengthening or going after the financial, emotional, and or spiritual future you're trying to create. But it's also supporting or providing a lot of physical and mental power for transforming your subconscious thought patterns even your life vision, as well as expanding the foundation of your life, the home, the family, the property, and real estate situation you really desire. So I would say, yes, focusing on potentially a new paradigm of using your assets, your innate gifts, talents to strengthen financial, emotional, and spiritual goals or values, but also looking at how doing that is going to add a deeper richness into your life, where you can deeply transform and empower your mental thought patterns, your subconscious thought patterns, your life vision, and expand the sacred space, the home, the people you live with, the family dynamics, even property and or real estate for some of you, that is going to provide the joy and expansion in the picture of this new moon solar eclipse.